She's going away for good. It's not clickbait. Not clickbait. I know you guys are used to me making happy videos. This might be a little sad one because this computer, I'm sure you see your country on here. Do you see your country? This computer is going away. It might sound crazy, but I promise you there's value here. You guys know I love to give you guys value. And it was just time to upgrade. And if you guys want to see the gear and computers and stuff like this, you want to see a video about that, then leave me a comment and I'll make that. But this computer, it's a big deal because this has been to so many countries. All of these countries on here, there was a meaning. It was an experience. And these weren't even all the countries I went to. These were just a few of them that I remembered to buy stickers for before I got to the airport and flew out. And what I want to do to make this special today is to talk about each one of these countries that I went to. Now, if it's not interesting to you, then I'll say my favorite thing of each country that I went to. And if you see your country on here, you're going to hear something about your country today. And I wanted to keep this open because I want to come back and watch this video because, you know, I bought this computer when it was way out of what I wanted to spend for a computer. At the time that I bought this computer, I didn't make anything on YouTube. There weren't even people watching my videos. There was maybe, I'd have about 10, 15 views. 7 of them were me. And, you know, this computer was this is what I want. I want to create this and I want to create it with the best thing that I can do. And my old computer was burning out and I went in and I bought this computer. I think it was maybe like 2,000 euros to be able to download Final Cut so I can make these videos for you guys. And it made me really believe that it's your actions that show the belief you have in what you say you believe in. You know, spending 2,000 euros on a computer like this, you know, it's a lot if you don't actually believe in it. And I believed in this YouTube channel. I believed in you all. I believed that I'd have people that would support me and watch eventually and be benefited from my videos. And this computer was one of the first purchases that I've made that really stood out to me as like, this is showing how serious you are about this. How serious for me that I was about wanting to change people's lives, what I was serious about wanting to make a difference in people's lives. And yeah, and it's been around with me ever since then. And as I look back on these pictures that I have on here and these different countries that I've been to, and a lot of people are like, where's the Polish sticker? It's this one right here. And you know why you don't see it? It's because the Polish sticker was the very first sticker that I had on here. Perspective. And, you know, I want to go through here and just say one little sentence. Keep it maybe less than a minute for each one, but one of my favorite things about that country. And this will be very interesting for some of you who have never visited these places. This first one is Austria. Going through Austria, one of the things that stood out to me in Austria was how clean it was. If there's anyone from Austria watching this, how on earth did you keep the streets and everything so clean? I didn't understand that. That was, I wanted to just lay in the middle of the street. That's how clean everything was. Croatia. One of my probably favorite memories of Croatia was I had no idea how many islands you had. No idea how many islands you had, and I had no idea how addicted I could be to Borek. Anyone from Croatia will tell you, and if you go to Croatia, try Borek. It's one of the most addicting things, and I loved it. Borek with some sour milk or something that you guys give you. You guys have some milk or something you have with it. Google it, you'll understand. Montenegro. Beautiful country that I went to. I still think back to Montenegro so much and can't wait to go back. I miss Kotor so much. But I remember how friendly the people were in Kotor. And the people, I remember they stood out more than the beautiful scenery of a place like Kotor. And as I went through Montenegro, I remember just thinking like, how are these mountains here? How is this so beautiful? And it made me think of how much, if people only knew that you could be here eating, I remember eating pasta for like $5 and staying in a hostel that was like $7. For $15, you could have the time of your life with amazing people and an even better view. And Montenegro is a place that I still cannot wait to go back. Berlin. I lived in Germany for years, but Berlin was different. My biggest memory and takeaway that I had from Berlin was huge. I meet people and they just hadn't left their sector of town and they still didn't know everything about the sector they were living in. I was so shocked about how big it was and how, yeah, that was the size of it. Like, it's a huge, huge place. And as I said, I lived in Germany before, but Berlin brought me another side of the culture. Everyone spoke English. It was super. It's very electro music scene, and one of my probably things that stand out to me super a lot is a place called Berghain. If you don't know what Berghain is a club. It's a club in Berlin that opens at 8 o'clock, I believe, on Friday and closes at 12 o'clock on Monday. Yes, you can stay there the whole weekend and never leave if you want to. The next one is Lithuania. Lithuania, oh my goodness. Lithuania, and with this computer as well in Lithuania. Lithuania was a great experience. I've heard about it for basketball, but I didn't realize how much they love basketball. And as I arrived there, everyone thought I was the new player for their team. And I was like, no, I'm not. And they're just like, oh, well, we love basketball. You should come play for us. And I literally was recruited by the cities in Lithuania. I think I was in I can't say it. I still mess up the name. But I was there, and I just remember saying, like, wow, I should come here. And I realized how embraced that I felt there, even being and looking totally different from the Lithuanians. The next one here is Ukraine. Ukraine. Привет, jak sprava. Ukraine, amazing place. I planned to be in Ukraine for 5 days, and Ukraine was just a stop off that I had actually to going to Lithuania. And as I stopped in Ukraine for for a day for a flight, so it was a cheaper way to fly. I remember being in Ukraine and being like, wow, this place is really nice. I was in Kyiv for 2 days, and I was like, I need to come back here for 5 days. So I booked it in my trip to go back to Ukraine for 5 days. I ended up staying in Ukraine for about a month and a half almost. Met amazing family. You guys saw the ones who helped me with my arm when I had that huge rash and I didn't know what it was from. And then ended up visiting them in Kharkiv. So many of Ukrainians are here, привет. And I remember visiting them in their city, and they just embraced me. They brought me into their small city. They took me into their church. They took me out to eat. We had a dinner at their home, and it was one of the most beautiful memories of my travels in Europe because it was someone that helped me in a place that I really, truly needed help, and it turned out to be something even bigger. If you guys have seen the vlogs in Ukraine, you know what I'm talking about. Latvia. Latvia, I was really confused in Latvia, actually. Latvia, the thing that really stood out to me was that Latvia was the first place that I ever went to where the old town, because I was in Riga, where the old town was more popular than the new town. Where in the new town, I didn't see anyone. Everything was like closed and far away. And Old Town was where everything happened. And that's the first country I've ever been to where Old Town ran the show. Estonia. The one thing I remember about Estonia was how friendly the people were and how amazing they spoke English and were just friendly. I remember being at the Starbucks, as you guys saw in the vlog, and being in that Starbucks, I remember them just every day no, that's not it. The number one thing about Estonia was they had oatmeal, and everyone ate oatmeal. Oatmeal was one of my favorite meals growing up, and they had it everywhere, even at the Starbucks. Right where you pay, you could just scoop out some oatmeal. And the people in Starbucks actually invited me to stay after hours, and we stayed there talking while I had the leftover oatmeal. And that was one thing that really stood out to me about Estonia. And I remember it was cold. This flag is, I think it's, what is this flag? Anyone know what this one was? It's kind of wearing white. I think it's Hungary. Hungary, my memory of Hungary was that language is hard. Like, I go to a lot of countries and I pick up the languages pretty easy, but in Hungary, I remember that it was a very difficult language to pick up. But they had amazing treats, and I did learn how to say thank you because the little treats that they have there were amazing. And I learned to never make a mistake when you're in Budapest. It's not called Budapest, it's called Budapest. And one side's Buda and one side is Pest. And getting those two confused is not a good thing to do when you're in Budapest. This memory right here, this is, and actually I don't think that was Hungary. I don't know what this was. That might not even have been Hungary. Oh no! This is Hungary, I think. I think this is Hungary. I think this is Hungary. That's what I meant for Hungary. This one is, I think this is Slovakia. I'm pretty sure. I should look up the flags before I did it. But even so, it's a cool story from a place. Slovakia, I remember it was the same thing. In the new town, it did happen in more places than Riga. In Slovakia, what really stood out to me was how beautiful and old everything kind of was, and how the old town was just packed of people all the time, every night. The tourists, everything was in Old Town. And when you go along the the river there, it was just so peaceful. I remember you could walk for almost hours along the river, and there was a place to eat, a place to drink, and if you watch the vlogs, you guys remember that. And they ate a lot of meat in Slovakia. Next, one of my countries, the thing that stands out to me about what stands out to me about Holland in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, my people from Amsterdam, hello, hoe gaat het? Alles goed, dank u wel, is how, number one, they speak amazing English. Like, I have a lot of close friends, and I've dated people from Holland, and they speak amazing English, so much that I have to translate sometimes when they're writing me in English. And Holland, what's so amazing about Holland for me was how amazing the fruit was. Like, no one ever talks about it, but there's a place called Albert Heijn's, I think is the name of it. And in this store, they had the best fruit. Fresh squeezed orange juice. They had water that had fruit infused in it, and the fruit was literally in the clear bottle. And I remember that also it was the first place that I fit in, because if you don't know, the people of Holland are tall. And I remember just being in Albert Heijn's and turning, and there was a girl almost the same height as me. And that's when I was like, whoa, and it was the first time I went out from my hostel. And then I remember, like, everyone just doesn't stare at me like, who is this giant? I wasn't a genetic phenomenon. I just was like a little bit tall for the country's average height. But I remember feeling really like I fit in there, or I belonged there. Let's put it like that, because fitting in is the opposite of belonging, according to Brene Brown, and I agree. Slovenia. One of my favorite things about Slovenia was when I arrived there, I didn't know how to say the name of the city that I went to. I went to a city called Ljubljana, and if you're a local, and I have a lot of friends from there, they told me to say Ljubljana is what the locals say, I believe. And I remember that was the first place, and it showed how much people didn't understand, because I went there and I couldn't say the name of it, and people left comments on the video like, how could you go to a place that you can't say the name? And for me, I was like, that's the exact reason why I went there. I want to figure out how to say it and what they have, and they have Bordik, by the way. And what really stood out to me was the old town in Slovenia, but even more importantly was a place called Lake Bled. One of the most amazing, peaceful, quiet hikes, and just if you want to chill or have a getaway place, Lake Bled is the place to go. And on these, there's been a few more to touch on it real quick. In England, the thing that stood out to me was how expensive it was. Like, how is it more expensive? How is it twice the price of everything that was in Europe? And I remember that, and I remember just trying to have to change my language over to people to say like, hey, I really want to have some fries, and they didn't understand. I mean chips. There was a lot of words, and I remember just like, I lived in Australia for 2 years, so I really understood it a lot better. But I remember being there in the UK and being like, wow, everything is crazy, like double the price, triple the price of things in Barcelona. And that was the thing that stood out to me. But I do remember when it rained one time, and I was getting irritated about the rain, and I pulled over, I stopped on the side of the road, and this guy pulled over and said, just wait 2 minutes and it'll go away. And that's what I applied for the whole week and a half I was in London, and I just remember, like, it rained all the time. Still love you guys, though. France, well, that's like home. I lived in France for 7 years. I'm a resident of France. I lived in France for 7 years. I'm a resident. I lived there for that long. Saying I lived somewhere for 8 years says that doesn't seem too right. If I have to say something about France, it is once you accept their culture and you just try to speak a little bit of their language, they just come out and they open up, they become a completely different person. Even going up to someone and saying, hey, excusez-moi, that gets a huge response, rather if you say, hey, excuse me. I learned that. That was one of the first places I learned the importance of language. Parce que après, je parle français, après les gens parlent avec moi tout le temps. I speak French perfectly, by the way. But when you speak like that to them, they respond totally different. Canada. Well, Dana's from Canada. But the next thing I love about Canada was, I remember Canada was, everyone was super friendly. You know, everyone just seemed super friendly. That was something that really stood out to me, that I hadn't felt in a long time, and I had no idea a place so close to America could have such friendly people. And yeah, that's what stood out to me about Canada. And the open roads. And they were in the metric system, which is what I use in my mind. I totally forgot the other system of America. And America, it's where I'm from. The thing that stands out to me in America is just a whole nother way of life. When you come from America to another place, or you come from there, it's a huge shift between America and the rest of the world. There's a huge gap. And you realize that, especially living here in Bali in Southeast Asia, completely different lifestyle, completely different dream, completely what makes people happy. And it's fast, moves fast. And America reminds me to slow down. because I remember living in America, and I remember my friends who lived there moving really fast. In America now, when I look at it, I've reconditioned my mind to look at, I need to slow down. This is just my ingrained, how I was raised. I need to go fast, next, more money, and I'm just like, slow down. What makes you happy? What is actually fun? And Czech Republic, we didn't get to Czech Republic, I almost forgot it. The Czech Republic. Going to this country, Czech was another place that the language was really crazy. But the thing that stood out to me in Czech Republic, I was just shocked. I think Prague is probably the most beautiful city. If you want a taste of Europe and how Europe was, Prague is the place to go. And I put off Prague for probably like 2 or 3 years because everyone goes there and I'm like, I'm not interested. And I decided to go and my mind was blown. It's not longboard approved because everything is longboard approved, meaning I used to take my longboard everywhere. You can't really skateboard there because it's old city and old streets. But I just remember of how beautiful it was. And if I could imagine Europe, what it was like 20 years ago, or no, 150 years, 200, 300 years ago, Prague gives you a perfect example. If you need to go to a big city, you can go to any of the small cities and you'll still see it. But Prague was just like the city that I was probably most shocked about and that I wish I had visited sooner. And as I say, the best. I don't want to say the best for last, because that makes everyone everyone else seem like they're not the best. Everywhere's great, but my favorite is the flag that I had first on here, and that's Poland. And Poland is what changed my life. Poland is home. Poland is where my heart is. Poland is where my soul is. Even though I don't look it and I don't seem it, I feel like I am Polish, and everything that happens there that I understand when I'm reading about Poland throughout the news. I read their news, and like I love Poland. And tell you how much I love Poland. When I wasn't there in Poland, I watched a YouTube live feed of a camera street view outside of Nowy Świat, which is New World Street, and outside of Zloty Taras, which is the Golden Terrace, which is the huge mall. There's like cameras that you can look at YouTube. And I just imagined being there, and that was my window. And it's what changed my life. It's what gave me the confidence for YouTube. It's what showed me, it opened my eyes to everything. Poland showed me how I could go to a place that I was so scared of. And if you guys have read the book, my book about Poland, it's called Poland My Way on Amazon. It's linked below. You'll see that I had a whole different view. I mean, now being a YouTuber and like people come up to me every day there because millions of people have watched a lot of my videos. I remember going there when no one knew who I was. And back in 2013 when I go, 2014 I believe it was, there was no real tourist there. And I was the only one. And everyone told me not to go. And I was so scared to go and worried and on the defensive. And I talk about it in the book a lot, what my experiences were. And as I think about it, I realized that you can be so wrong about a place. And the only news you have that gives you any kind of understanding what it's like is what someone else told you from their experience. And Poland opened my eyes up to realize that I don't have to listen to someone else's experience because it's only their experience. They can go back another time and have a completely different experience. And it reminded me that I need to live my life and do the things that I want to do the things that matter to me, to make my own experience. When someone tells me they had a bad experience somewhere now, I go there so I can make a good experience. And if I go to a place and I don't have a good experience, I've had places like that, I'll go back, and it gives me a reason to go back, not a reason to avoid it. It gives me a reason to go back so I can have a good experience the next time. And Poland is in my heart, my soul. As you guys know, Poland, changed my life, started my career, a whole different path, made me feel welcome. I've missed not going there, and I'm living here in Bali for a year. It wasn't my plan. I was supposed to be here for 5 days and then be flying. Well, I was going to go to China, Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, and then fly back to Poland and to train for the next upcoming basketball season. And, Poland, there's a video coming out for you. It's called Dear Poland. It's coming out really soon. And to show you how much I love Poland, this is my computer. And as I was taking the screen off, I'm trying not to get emotional. As I was taking the screen off of here, so I can show you what I'm doing, and I'm opening this. This is a leaf from Poland that my friend, I was with her, and she's like, you should put it in your computer and to remember it if you need to. And I totally forgot about it until I went to take this off, and I almost was super emotional. And the video's coming out for you guys, Poland. I'll explain more about this leaf in that video. The video will be called, I don't want to say what it is. Some of you guys already know, but it'll be out soon, talking about Poland. And to really, people who are new around here, I know some of you guys are new and don't really know me so much, and put a lot of emphasis on Bali is, I'm Mr. Bali or whatever people say. And it's like, no, Poland is home for me, and Poland will always be home. And Bali is, I'm passing through. I love it. I treat it as home now. Home is where I am. But a place I can't wait to get to is Poland. And when I'm there, of course, I'll be wanting to come back to Bali. But Poland is what everything started. And more of that in a future video. But on that note, this computer that got me through so much. I hope you guys got some value out of today. Thank you for who all watched the whole thing. This got me through so much. But now I've switched. I'll show you guys. I've now changed. Much smaller, much different. You want to see a video about the new MacBook, let me know, and I'll make a video about that explaining the differences. But I wanted to give this an emotional and a proper goodbye because this thing got me through at least, I think, 30 countries easily, and ran and made 800 vlogs with this. Was able to share what I've been able to share with you guys because of this. And you guys can see I live my life with gratitude. And when you feel that, it's not just giving away a computer to somebody. It's truly like giving a part of me that made a part of me, and what I'm able to share with you guys was because of this. So on that note, thank you, MacBook Pro. Want to remember this for me, but for you as well. I hope you guys got value out of it, and yeah, computer's going away. It's going to better hands, someone else who will use it. She will live on, but the memories from it will stay with me and stay with us because everything you're watching was made using that computer. So thank you for being here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support. The Dear Poland video is coming out soon. And I know a lot of you guys have talked about, like you guys have seen me in a certain jacket. Can you remember? Can you remember? This is what I have. The Polish Eagle. I know some of you guys send me messages when you see me wearing it on the scooter. But more about this in the Poland video that's going to be coming out soon to you all. But I wanted to make this video and give you guys some value, and all the new people who are here, I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, for showing up, for sending me messages, for sending me emails, for working with me. A lot of you are clients of mine. If you're more interested in that, drop me an email. For supporting me and just being there. And I thank you guys all so much. And on that note, I'll speak to you guys all later. And in the meantime, everyone always remember to work hard, be brave. Don't forget to smile. Ciao.